Today, he is the Vice President of Nigeria Labour Congress. Morning, and thank you for coming on today.
Yeah, good morning.
Well, speaking about labour issues, perhaps we should be able to get the report sooner rather than later, I imagine. Well, there was that comment where the Minister of Labour was quoted to have said that he didn't actually know the amount of workforce in labour. And lots of people thought, okay, maybe, is that out of context? In what context? What does that mean? But it was given his ministerial briefing at that time. Of course, you know, they always thumb their chest there. We've done well so far. And if you look at it from that perspective, so far, how would you assess it from what they've done?
Well, actually, I'm not really sure whether I had that report of the minister. But let me first of all say that, well, it's good that we're doing assessment of the administration. Although I'm not sure whether it's appropriate to talk of midterm, because this president has been around longer than this, depending on which dates you are looking at. You know that he was given full power as the acting president, I think as far back as February 2010.
Yeah, but this is his first time on his own mandate.
Yeah, well, I'm not talking as citizens, as electorate, depending on what time we're looking at. But it's good that we're having an assessment, you know, whether midterm or quarter term, you know, as the case may be, because it's all about accountability. That's what democracy is all about. But I think the best way to do the assessment is not so much about what the minister said or what the president has said. I think first, or what they are saying now, I think it's better to find out what they said at inauguration, because that would be the basis to do proper assessment. I mean, the presidential inaugural address, I think we should find out what the issues are. I think the president was very upbeat, promised to grow the economy, to create jobs, you know. I think it's important to assess where we are now. And I think that there's a consensus now that, yes, we can say that there's growth
in the economy.
In the economy, you know. And depending on what figure you are using, we're even talking of average growth of about 7%. But there's also a consensus that this is a jobless growth. You know, this growth is not job-led. It's not job-informed, you know. And not only that, even the growth drivers, which part of the economies are driving this growth? They are just exclusive, you know, I mean, very exclusive part of the economy. I'm talking of the oil and gas, the same traditional sector, telecoms, you know, banking sector, and the labor absorptive capacity of these sectors is very low.
So what would you
so what I'm saying here is that we haven't seen the growth that is driven by manufacturing, you know, the real sector of the economy, and that's where the jobs are supposed to be. If on the contrary, we're having collapse of industry on a large scale. I mean, from the sector I come from, I mean, for obvious reasons, I'm talking of textile. You know very well that the noise level is very high there because it's labor intensive. So if a factory that employs on the average about 5,000 workers closes down, that makes more noise. You know, I mean, that has increased the level of, you know, awareness about the collapse of textile industry because we talk so much about it. But you also know that there are medium level, small scale industries that are dying every day. You know, I mean, Dunlop, Michelin, these are companies that have relocated out of Nigeria. They are now operating.
Yeah, but so some of them can say that, well, while those ones may have closed, they also have some sugar companies opening. They have some other manufacturing companies opening, which they're commissioning. They will tell you on a regular basis.
Well, you can also talk of cement, which, I mean, you know, Dangote has provided a lead in that sector. But what people have also forgotten that Dangote has wound up in many other sectors to rather focus on one for obvious reasons. So what I'm saying here is that, by and large, I think we have to make the growth to translate to development. And there won't be development until the growth is job-led. You know, it has absorbed labor capacity. And the official statistics today is close to about 25% unemployment. Unofficial, open unemployment is as high as about 50%.
Okay.
And for me, I mean, the old debate in Europe, whether Greece, I mean, when they talk of high level of unemployment in Spain, you are talking still single digit, 8%, 9%. Here is double digit, 25% officially, but more than that unofficially. So I think we have to, there's a complete gap between the presidential promise in May 2011 in terms of job creation and what we're having now.
All right, let's
and I think more can be done.
If I may comment there, the
Yeah.
Minister of Labour on the 6th or 7th of June was quoted as saying the federal government has created over 198,000 jobs through direct and indirect measures.
But we need to find out with sectors. I mean, with sector concretely.
You're saying it's not evenly spread?
No. What I'm saying here is that the sectors that are driving the growth, the labor absorption, the labor content is relatively low. Of course, I also know has been some creative moves in some sectors, including textile, in terms of financing. You're talking of long-term funding. I'm talking of the 100 billion naira intervention fund, in which close to about 38 companies have benefited.
So I was just about to ask you, there is some intervention.
No, fine. No, I'm coming to that. And with that one, close to about 8,000 jobs were actually saved. If I one factory that closed and reopened, UNTL Kaduna. But what's the challenge of that? 100 billion naira. You got the point. 38 companies try to benefit from it. Now, if you raise that fund possibly higher than that, you get the point I'm raising? Some companies could benefit more. And it's possible that we could create more jobs. But few companies that are reopened are less than those that are closing. And financing is only one. Of course, electricity is the major problem, because you can't really run the rail sector without electrification. And today, we have been told that power generation has improved to 4,000 megawatts, but power delivery is far less than that. There's a gap between generation and delivery. I mean, even the Minister of Power just lamented that we have gotten a setback, and he's even blaming it on sabotage. What he couldn't say is the impact of that on the rail sector of the economy. So what I'm saying here is that the figure the minister threw around in terms of the one has to ask which rail sectors have created this amount of jobs.
No, but I think another pertinent question is that if we don't have enough jobs, it's not for a lack of trying to create. Can you accuse the federal government of not making enough, or even the state government of trying hard enough?
It's not even the state. What I'm saying here is that it's not whether state or federal. We're looking at the global picture, and that's why the limitation of midterm assessment. What we have to look at the key indicators in Nigeria. I mean, 7% growth rate. Ideally, we should be talking of getting millions of people to be employed, and we can see it very well that. I mean, just look at any job placement, any department, whether immigration, customs, looking for 1,000 jobs, close to almost about 100,000, people turn up. That already gives you an idea of what level of unemployment rate it's all about. And that's just government say, go to all the factories, the factory side, you see applicants who are looking for jobs, and not only that, companies are actually. Some good number of them are closing that which ordinarily should be in operation. So what I'm saying here is that it's not to accuse. We're saying the reality is that there is a gap between the growth and the jobs that have been created. And I think we need to bridge that gap. And that requires a lot of creativity. The rail sector was employed large number of workers in the past. Not because of any miracle, but because government was on duty. How? Infrastructure, constant power supply is important. You must also have appropriate industrial policies that protect the industries. Because now the whole place has become a dumping ground. In fact, we are not really a productive economy in the true sense of the word. We are more or less containers economy. We are importing host of goods to the country. As well, you're importing, you're actually exporting jobs because you are patronizing goods that are produced abroad. I think we should have a policy that will be able to say, let's try and produce what we are consuming, and possibly consume what we can
Don't we have that policy
produce.
already?
No, it's not really.
The last the administration of President Obasanjo came up with a policy about importing things like furniture. Let's use furniture, for instance. But we still do import.
A wholesale reversal of that now.
Are you sure?
Oh, I'm serious. I mean, we are